Hello comrades, yes it's me, a Yorkshireman, now living in Wales. P.S. So happy living in Wales, thank you. Power to the people. Yes comrades, we need that power more than ever. So, update, got a bit of a cold, yes, just a cold, nothing else. I'll get over it. Why am I telling you that? Well, it's not that other thing, I'll tell you that now. So, today's topic, digital ID. If you're bored already, you're listening to me, it's bad, do not consent. Anyway, moving on. I'll give you my take on it and also share with you some of the YouTube videos I look at to get more information, because clearly people know more than me about this sort of stuff. So this is my take. So, in my opinion, lockdown was a taster session. It was a test by the political and the wealthy elite to see what us normal people would do. And, sad to say, including myself, we fell for it because they use fear. And a lot of people said, oh, this is a nightmare. So they got the app, they allowed themselves to be tracked. Many people got vaccines, even though I personally wish I hadn't got one at all, but that's my own opinion, personal opinion. And then if you wanted to do anything, we then found out that you could only go outside so many times, you can only maybe look at your neighbour, not talk to your neighbour. If you went shopping, you had to do X, Y and Z. And then you couldn't buy certain things, right? And if you wanted to get access to something, you had to have a little app or piece of paper which said you've been vaccinated. If you didn't have that, then guess what? You ceased to exist in society. Now, when people woke up after a while, I either thought, this don't quite add up, and they started putting stuff on social media, they got cancelled, they got lost jobs, they got fined, all sorts happened. And that was a test, as far as I'm concerned. And also, what also happened is it put neighbour against neighbour. Yes, people were ringing up the police and going, oh, such and such, oh, I've seen them talking or looking at somebody. It's a disgrace, right? And then all the politicians, everybody said, oh yeah, this is great. Now we'll move on to digital ID. Now remember, during lockdown, while we were basically put in a little cage, all the politicians and everybody else carried on flying around the world, all the rich and the special people, mocking us, looking down on us. They went out for meals, they had meetings, they had this, and they carried on because they're special. So basically they were mocking us. So now we come to digital ID, and they've decided that we will now fall for it again because we will be happy complying. Well, personally, no, I'm not going to fall for it, and I will literally explain why. However, before I do that, let me give you some YouTube people to look at, just in case you like a different voice, and these people do a far better job than me. The first person is this bloke here, the black belt barrister, very popular, loads of people watching knows this stuff. The link will be in, so there he is, and the link will be in my description. The other person is an American person, a woman, and it's Whitney Webb. Now, she's a journalist and she pieces it all together bit by bit. And to be honest, you think, hey, what on earth is going on here? But it makes sense. And remember, digital ID is not just the UK. It's happening worldwide. That's why you need to look further afield. The other person is this one here, the person who does Council Watch, and she started it. And this video is titled, Is Brick Card a Distraction? And it is. So I suggest you watch this one. Some of them are like half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever. Get a cup of tea, make yourself comfortable. And then the follow-up to the one I've just shown you is this one, Digital ID Pushback. Rachel interviews Claire Wills Harrison. And again, worth a watch. But again, if it's not for you, I'll just tell you, all it is saying is do not consent. So, what does the government say? The UK government about it? Well, it says here, a new digital Blue Arrow ID scheme will make it for people across the UK to access these use vital government services. Well, I don't know what the services are. However, let me just use myself. So last week I had to go to GP, government service. I could use that fine. I turned up. They said, hello, how are you doing? Didn't have to show anything. They just checked and cross-referenced me, name, age, date of birth, whatever. Yeah. I then had to go for another bit of an appointment. Guess what they did there at an hospital? Literally the same. In fact, I took the letter, yeah, the physical letter, and I says that's me. But they still double checked. No need for any digital ID. I managed to get money out of a cash machine. I put a card in, no digital ID needed. Even though now it always says, ooh, do you want more than 40 quid? Yes I do please, thank you. Right, so that's the other trick. And then the other thing I do, I got on a bus. Did I need digital ID for that? No I didn't. Now, hands up, I did want to access my government gateway to check on my pension. Yeah, and I had to give far more information than I've ever done before, and they tricked me into giving me a bit more data. Won't be doing that again. I'd rather wait and not comply. So it then goes on to say, red arrow, the rollout, well remember we've not had any consultation on this, will make it too easy if you apply for government. Well, no, I've never seen that in my life. It's easy to apply for government stuff and private sector services. Well, like what? If I have a private sector service I want to use, I decide if I use it. I don't have the government saying, yeah, you can use that because we know you are. No, that's up to that private company to double check. And what happens if I don't like what that private company stands for? Let's say Halifax Bank. They came out with a statement a while ago and they said, if you don't like our ideology, we don't want you as a customer. Guess what I said? No problem, I left. And I will keep doing that and I will take my customer elsewhere. The way this is phrased, we, nobody else, will have a choice about who we want to align ourselves with and our ethical beliefs. So that don't work for me anyway. And then the green one is hilarious, isn't it? It will stop illegal immigrants. Hey? Well, they don't have any idea when they come here, so they can just reinvent themselves and then get a job, or guess what? They just won't do anything. They'll just get work on the black market. So it don't make any sense, right? So straight away what I'm going to say to people is, don't use your phone, don't use this payment on your phone, Apple Pay or whatever it is, or Google Pay, I don't know what it is, don't use it. Start using cash. Cash is now king, definitely. Now the other thing I then did, and this is how it connects to me living in Wales, is in Wales we've got the election May 2026. Now at present Wales has always been run by Welsh Labour in combination with Plaid Cymru, and that's historically factually correct, and I've done a video on this. So these are the people in my area. We have Mabel Knapp, we have Stephen Campbell, Jane Dodds, we have Elon Morgan, First Minister, and Joyce Watson. Now Joyce and Morgan, or Watson and Morgan, they're like a detective team. They're Welsh Labour. Jane Dodds is Liberal and the others have Plaid Cymru. Now, the person I wrote to them all with an email. Now, the person missing off this is the English representative, Liz Saville-Roberts. I sent the email to all of these people. So, guess who replied? Well, the first person to reply, very promptly as usual, was literally Jane Dodds. And the question I asked them was quite simple. I just said, are you in support of digital IDs, yes or no? That's all I had to ask them. And this one comes back, no to digital IDs. I thought, well, simple. I double check though, because you never know, do you? There it is, says no to Labour's digital ID kit. Now, whether or not you like Lib Dem, at least all I'll say is I've now got an agreement with one policy area, 100% agree with. So, if that's all I had to vote for, nothing else was available, that's what I'd vote for. I might not like the other stuff, but this is critical for me. Now, I then got a reply back from Liz Saville-Roberts, as you can see. And as you can see there, we've got a reference, we've got this. And go to the green arrow. And she's replied on behalf of all the Plaid Cymru colleagues. And it goes on to say, Plaid Cymru will not support any digital ID system. Right, okay, I think, well, that's good. Then it goes on to say, risk shutting people out of services or eroding civil liberties. Well, wait on. Well, civil liberties have gone anyway, because they went during COVID, and I don't remember Plaid Cymru saying, well, this is wrong. I remember they were going, yes, yes, let's get more, come on. That's what I remember. Because, well, yeah, I was here at the time then. And also, if they were that keen about it, you'd think they'd be a little bit upset that over 12,000 people get arrested each year in the UK for breaching free speech, i.e. being able to speak out and say I'm not happy with that because of. Well, you then get arrested. Right, or have an on-crime hate incident put against them but they didn't know. Now, so really, so eroding civil liberties? Well, to be honest, you see, I don't really buy into that. Now, it also goes on to say, but no one should be digitally excluded. Well, my advice to people, if you're not on the internet or you have an internet but no smartphone, don't get it. Because literally that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and weed myself off all my apps and everything else on my phone. But it is difficult. Because even now, it's all interwoven. And it's difficult to do one without the other, but I will do my best. So I can say it, but I know it's going to be hard to do because everything's connected. And they use two-factor notification. So basically, verification process. So is it you? Email comes, you put a pin in, blah, blah, blah. So it is me, but that's all connected to my mobile phone number. Slightly different to having a digital ID. Right. And then, of course, again, go down to the blue arrow. And the blue arrow then goes on to bit where the point is, it says the UK government has no real interest in an open or democratic debate. Now, I find that quite interesting coming from Plaid Cymru, because don't forget, Plaid Cymru have always been in a partnership agreement, one form or other, with Welsh Labour. So, let me go back to, we had a democratic debate, did we, about 20 miles an hour? No, we did not. What about net zero and chasing climate zero? No debate. What about Wales becoming a nation of sanctuary? No debate. What about all the charity funding to trees, for example? No debate. What about the more members of the Senate? No debate. It's a massive list. So I don't believe that you would actually get a debate, because all this stuff needs a proper referendum so the people can be heard. Now, the question for me then is, what's the position on reform? Well, from what I understand, reform, of course, they're against it, but it was tricky for me to find out, and as you can see at the bottom there, I had to end up going for an AI, artificial intelligence overview, because it didn't come up on the main search engines. That's suspicious, isn't it? Now, why I found this really interesting, don't forget, Welsh Labour are part of Labour, and I have not had one reply from them. However, remember what I've said, the connection is this. So Welsh Labour and the Labour Party will be saying digital ID is important, really important, so we know who you are. However, look at this blue arrow. This is about Senate elections. Do I need to bring ID with me? No, you don't need to bring ID with you to vote in a Senate election. Well, it's not important then, is it? Because if it was that important, you would want the picture of the person, so somebody else there can say, yes, that is you. You couldn't make it up, could you? So, all I'm going to say to you is, how to defeat it? Well, if you can, have a look at some of the other links I've looked at, see what you think. But all I'm going to say is, do not consent, because without your consent, it starts to fail and starts to fall apart. It's as simple as that. And you will not lose anything by saying, no, I'm not doing it, because there's lots of people now you can still access and carry on your normal life. The only way they have left then is to force it on us. And I do think there might be people getting a tad unhappy about that. Right, comrades, hopefully everybody's okay. Catch you on the side. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment and, well, enjoy yourself.